Hi everyone, welcome back. So as I promised the other day in my live stream, I would show you guys my December daily and how I made it. So I made these super simple December dailies out of a piece of cardstock. I used some scrap fabric that I had and some coffee dyed or tea dyed pages. So for those of you that are new or don't know what a December daily is, it is just a daily journal that you keep during the month of December. Now you can use this any month, but December seems to be one many celebrate, hence December daily. So this is a standard traveler's notebook insert measurement, which is 4 by 8. So I started with a piece of cardstock and I cut the cardstock 8.5 by 8. Or yes, and so then when I folded it, it was 4 by 8. I glued down fabric and I just tacked mine down with a glue stick because I was going to take mine to my sewing machine and sew it afterwards. But if you wanted to use like a Fabri-Tac or even a tacky glue, you could just glue your fabric down totally and you don't need to sew it. So the next step I did was I glued them all down. And as you can see, this is my, my pieces. And they're just tacked to where they hit the board. So I took mine and went to my sewing machine and I sewed all around the fabrics. You can see it better on this one because I did this one with the contrast. And it's a great way to use your decorative stitches if you haven't tried them all, it's kind of fun. So then after I did that, this is what the inside looks like. Now, if you don't want yours to be bumpy, I just glued paper over mine, but if you don't want yours to be bumpy and you sewn it, then just grab another piece of cardstock and glue that cardstock on top. Now, this is not a very thick cardstock, but you could, if you have a thick one, go for it. I just find with my sewing machine, it's better if I use a lighter weight cardstock. So if you don't want any bumps on the inside of your December daily or your daily journal, glue another piece of cardstock on. I, on the other hand, came to my handy dandy glue stick, I have some hymnal pages, and I glued mine down. Now, the key to gluing it down after you've sewn it, this is just my tip, but you do it what works for you, is go over the raised areas or the areas where the the thread is a couple of times. And then that way, and then after you do it, you go back and you burnish it. So you go back and take a burnisher. I usually use the top of my glue stick and rub it down really, really well. And that way it will adhere well. If you don't get enough glue on your thread area, it'll lift. And it's not going to be perfectly flat, but I don't mind it. I don't know if you can see the bumps. It's not that bumpy, but you can feel the raised bits. So then it was time to add my journal pages in. So in a daily journal, you really only need 8 pages. 8 pages, the 4 sides equal 32 sides to write on. In mine, I added a couple of extra, fun pages. Like I added a couple of foreign language book pages, and I added a couple of maps or different things to add interest or fun to it. You don't have to. Oh, one other thing I want to add is if you decide you want a pocket, the time to put the pocket would be, after you've glued the back page down. Then you'd glue your pocket in before you did your sewing. But I didn't glue a pocket into my December daily. I'm going to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. I have punched 3 holes, and I am going to use wax linen thread. But, use what you have. I am a huge proponent of, using what you have. And if you have baker's twine, if you have embroidery floss, use what you have. Now, these little December dailies make great gifts. I have given them to, everybody needs a little blank book, right? Everybody can use a little blank book. I have given them to my neighbors. I have given them to, I make them for teacher gifts, neighbors, teachers, even I make them for my kids too. My teenage daughter even gets into the act and she's made some for her friends. So I'm going into the center because I want my tail to be on the inside and then out. And then I'm going to skip the middle hole and go to the end. Just a super simple 3-hole pamphlet stitch. Sometimes I do a 5-hole pamphlet stitch. It just depends upon what you want. You're not going to really see it on this because it's the same color, the red wax on and thread. And then I go back through the center. These are really fun little last minute gifts to give. And if you don't want to do the sewing, don't do the sewing. Just glue it down. And you can use anything. You could do it with Christmas wrapping paper. You could do it with anything, really. I mean, Christmas wrapping paper, you could do it with fabric. You could do it with scrapbooking paper. And if you have really nice scrapbook paper, why not just use that for your outside cover? Now I have my threads on either side, and I'm just going to tie them. I'm going to just tie it, do it twice in the middle. The one thing about wax on and thread is if you make a mistake, you can take it out and do it again, and it really doesn't give any, it's really not a big deal. So let's take a look. Now mine are tea dyed and coffee dyed papers. You don't have to do it or use it that way. So here's my hymnal pages that are glued in, and I added a map page. And this one has a fold out. And so, you can document anything. Here's foreign language book pages. I like the sound of them once you coffee dye or tea dye them. Some people say, well, I don't really have a lot of exciting things happen. Because journaling is so freeing. You can write about anything. Maybe you want to collect recipes. Maybe you want to just document what you were doing at the time. Like I watched this great Hallmark movie. I watched, I did, whatever you want to do. There's no rhyme or reason, and you don't have to have something crazy, extravagant to happen to write in a journal every day. Now, I am going to go back. I think I'm going to go ahead and trim these pages. I cut my papers before I made my journals, and some of them were cut exactly to size, and some of them obviously were a little bigger. So you could also, if you were going to make this, I've made them one year for my kids, and I found some really cute old baby pictures, and I just made photocopies of them and put them in the book, and found pictures of them and when they were growing up, fun things that they did or little anecdotes, and wrote them and put them in the book. But most of the pages were blank, but a few had personalized stuff on them, and they thought it was great. And so you can do that. You can do it for a distant relative. You can do it for maybe you belong to a book club. You can make one for your for your book clubs, and include maybe quotes from the books that you've read together in your book club. Or if you belong to a wine tasting club, include some wine labels. Or the sky's the limit. You don't have to limit yourself thinking that it has to be only about something from December. Now I used, obviously Christmas fabric for mine, but use what you have. And I may put a little button on it with a little closure. I don't know, I'll decide. Well, anyway, I hope you guys jump in. It's not too late to make yourself a fun December daily. And thanks for watching, you guys. I wish you guys all the happiest holiday season filled with peace, balance, and bliss. Anyway, until next time, from my heart to your heart, I'm sending you so much aloha. Bye for now.